Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of the Coach's Corner, and we want to talk about the question of unfairness today. The question of unfairness. So many people talk to me and ask me questions about X, Y, and Z, and one of them is, but you don't know what they did. You don't know what they did. So we want to talk about that because does two wrongs make it right? And there's a lot of revenge in the air. There's a lot of vengefulness in the air. There's a lot of I'm gonna get your ass in the air. Yeah, I'm gonna get you. Just you wait and see. And so we want to talk about that because at the end of the day, life isn't fair. What you gonna do about it? It's Coach's Corner. I'm the coach. Welcome aboard. What's up, man? The question of unfairness is on the table today as we think about whether or not we want to take some action, kick off in some behind. Y'all have to realize too, when I'm on the radio for y'all sanctified folk, I have to get into character. So don't start tripping, okay? I have to be in character, and there's a whole lot of things I have to get in character about that you ain't even seen and heard yet, okay? So if you offended some of y'all, you know what I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking to, all right? When you're doing something to reach somebody for positive and wholesome reasons, you got to get into character. And so when I think about something, I get into the character of it. And the questions of unfairness is on the table, as I said. It's unfair what they did to me. It's unfair what she did. It's unfair that he didn't tell me he had AIDS before we slept together. It's unfair that my grandmother died before her time. It's unfair that the teacher put me out and didn't see what they did. It's unfair that the police pulled me over and I'm not even a drunk driver, got all my license, and I just missed my insurance payment and got a ticket. Whereas the other day I saw a judge on the news that had a DUI 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. See, unfairness, what happens is if you put the unfairness question on the table and you always seeking for a remedy and revenge and recompense for all of the unfair things that you experience in life, after a while, you're gonna be blinded. You're gonna be blinded. Your perception is gonna be clouded. Because the question still is, I know the answer, but do you know the answer? Do our kids know the answer? Do our young adults know the answer? Is it fair? No, it's never fair. It's never fair coming from me, from you. I mean, if a guy was to come on and sit down and have a conversation with us, talk about fairness, he'd probably say, you ain't been fair. You go to church and you sing the songs and you say amen and you say go bishop, then you go back home and you do this and you do that, and I've asked you to do this and I've shown you to do that and you don't do it. I've asked you to do this and do that about your kids and about your marriage and about your attitude and about your weight and about your habits, and you haven't even budged. You haven't even moved. You're almost like a bison. And I mean, unless all the rest of them move, you won't even budge. I mean, the question of unfairness. The question of unfairness. A lot of things happened to me in my life as a kid growing up. A lot of things happened that were unfair. What the hell? So what? Everybody's got a story. We trying to get to the glory, baby. Everybody's got a story about how somebody did somebody wrong song. And see, unfairness leads to taking the question of unfairness and putting it in your pocket leads to excuse-making lifestyles. Because what you do is you send Prince prince of the question and prince of the unansweredness of the question to your subconscious mind. And in your subconscious mind, I'll always say, is the pool that has the regulated formulas for you to swim in life, for you to move in life. It's that involuntary playground. It's that involuntary machine, the machine of your subconscious mind. Now, some people want to call it your spirit. I don't want to debate all that today, but I can get into it when we do Morning Bread, the Morning Bread show. But listen, if you take the question of unfairness and stick it in your pocket and that's all you think about all day long, after a while you get into excuse making. And I did this because when the roof fell in and I called the insurance company 3 months before when the rain had came down and the leak had started, and then when I called the maintenance man, he slid down the banana peeling and came up the back, and then when he knocked on the door, it kind of really scared me, and that's why my gun went off. And then, I mean, you just start making up all kind of dumb crap, you know what I'm saying, making excuses for your actions because you have so much entertained the unfairness question. Now, I'm not saying that you should not put the unfairness question on the table. What I am saying to you is that you can't afford to stick that unfairness question in your pocket, because everything in life, I had to say it like they say in Decatur, everything you know, everything in life ain't fair. That's why I became a Christian, to be frank with you. Not because of the unfairness question, but the unfairness question also goes to the why question. Why does these things happen to me? Because you can take it. That's what God said to Job. Because I trust you. That's what God said to Job. Because I know you'll last. That's what God says to Joseph. Because I know you're turning around, what God says to Paul. Because I know you'll eventually be converted, what God says to Peter. The question of unfairness. Did you see what they did? Did you hear what, I mean, and you know what? It's almost like we have a sense. We think we have a sense of entitlement for fairness, but we do not. There is nothing that none of us owe none of us but to love, and we barely can do that. There is no fairness. The only one, there's this old hymn song, Fairest Lord Jesus. That's the only one that's fair. And it is by the ratification of the blood covenant that makes it fair. It is by the application of the mercy that makes it fair. It is by the dissemination of agape hasi. That's mercy and agape put together. My God, that's what makes it fair. Don't push me. I'm close to the edge with this unfairness question. Well, you know, my relationship, you know, it ain't fair for her to let me know now that she really dating somebody else, because you know what? Always remember this as a personal rule, because one of the things that I have learned in life, know the freaking game rules of life and play the game well. And one of the rules in life that you and I must adopt for our lives is that if something happens to you, it was because you were the common denominator in the equation. Something in you, remember the subconscious pool, the playground that I talked about? Something, maybe not in your conscious mind, not what you meant to say, not what you meant to do, not where you meant to go, not what you meant to pick up, but something inside of us sends out the signal, you can run the hell over me, and it'll be all right in 6 months. It'll be all right in 12 months. We all send out wrong signals. We all send out bad signals. We're on this AM station of life, and everything ain't clear. And the more you walk, now watch this now, why I became a Christian again. The more you walk in unconditional love, the perception area have to be put on hold, and the trust factor has to be raised. Because when you walk in agape love, it places things inside of your subconscious mind that you never imagined, such as patience, such as long suffering stuff. You could put up with some stuff then when you're walking in agape. And I'm not talking about putting up with abuse now. Don't get twisted. I'm talking about putting up. Putting up. You can. Your skin is tough. You can last. You know. You can last 4 quarters. You know what I'm saying? And you'd have been banged around all game. You know what I'm saying? You can last 2 quarters. You can start the game because you got agape now. When you got unconditional love, now it's not something you can go buy at Kroger somewhere. It's not something you can buy at Publix. It's not on sale at Aldi's. In fact, the deposit of agape, the activation by choice to trust, because that's unconditional love is really about trust. We don't have time to get into that today. It's really about trust. It's really about trust. I trust him who made me to deal with them. I always have a little saying, I couldn't have been Jesus. I would have killed everything moving because I just, my patience, just not, no. He was the man. He knew what he was doing when he picked himself, if you will. If you will. I don't want to get in no trouble with no theologians out there. But the question of unfairness. Is it fair, the school system? Now, let's talk about systems of unfairness. You don't want me to go there. You don't want me to go, man. I can go on this question all day long. I could do 10 hours of show content with music breaks in between and commercials on the question of unfairness, because we have unfairness embedded in systems intentionally and unintentionally. Historically, we have unfairness embedded in systems legally. We have unfairness embedded in systems psychosocially. Affecting the psyche of a culture of people, affecting communities and regions of people. The question of unfairness, like the Hispanics crossing over the border, it seems to the African American community that used to have a job, it seems unfair that the border was left open, that they don't have any money to close the gates, that they don't have any. You know what I'm saying? I'm just raising the question. I don't start nothing, and it won't be nothing because I'm close to the edge already. The question of unfairness, see? The question of unfairness in the systems. Is it unfair for you as a homeowner to pay your taxes on your property and then turn around and have to be hounded by pamphlets and hounded by phone calls and hounded by tests and papers and things coming home from your local school where your child's going? But then when you have a problem, I got to go through an ID check, and I got to stop over here at the desk and sign in, and I got to wait until I have permission as a parent to go sit in the child. Come on, systems of unfairness. I can go, man. I can go on that. I can go on that thing. Unfairness. Well, she won't let me see my kids. Something in you told her early on, somewhere before now, it was okay to treat me like crap. So what do you do? What do you do when it's unfair? What do you do with the systems? I can't talk about all of it today, but I can tell you this. If you take a shortcut, you're going to get cut short. To him that knows to do good and doeth it not, to him it is a sin. To him that knows to do right and goes and do wrong, to him that knows a way and takes an opposite way, because he don't feel like working the work from the internal to the external, that person is a candidate for more unfairness. For him that thinks that we owe as a society him something because he just went through hell and high water, just lost your job, just found out about your medical condition, just found out about your wife cheating, just found out about your husband having a disease, just found out about your kids using drugs. We're not entitled to anything. And if we had a sense of godliness in this country, and if we had and I'm talking about the United States of America because we have worldwide listeners, if we had a sense of community, and we had a sense of camaraderie, and we had a sense of balance any dang on where, we'd be taking care of one another. But that's gone out the window a long time ago. It's every man for himself, and it's sure enough unfair. It's unfair in our communities, how we deal, how murders can go on, and where are the bishops?